Shalom everybody. This is going to be a quick video talking about, as the title basically says, Staley's Shemitah. Now, I'm not here to try and make an argument for Staley, but I will kind of catch you up on what is going on if you're not aware of it. But at the same time, this video is really not about Jim Staley, though I do mourn for his family having to deal without their father and husband and son for the amount of time. But let me go ahead and just tell you what's going on, just to catch everyone up if you're not aware. Jim Staley is a pastor who founded the Passion for Truth Ministries. He has a website. Well, they have a website. Several Torah studies and teachings all over the internet. Probably some books, I'm not really sure. He founded this after the events of what he is allegedly being accused of doing back in 2009. He's one of the very, very, very few teachers that I'm actually willing to listen to on the topic of Torah and Scripture. And I've learned a lot because of him, and I've been able to discover a lot as well through listening to what he has to say and testing what he has to say. So what happened basically in 2009, just to kind of give a brief synopsis, is that he used to work as some kind of a financial advisor of sorts. There was one particular group of people that he advised to go in one way with the financial market. At that time, the market was changing. Circumstances led to them losing a lot of money. They accused Mr. Staley, and they took him to court. Here, 7 years later, in 2015, he was just tried and accused. He pled guilty, and he was sentenced to 7 years in prison, and he has to make restitution for what those people lost. Now, on that topic, there's been a lot of stuff going around in the so-called Messianic movement and Hebrew roots community. A lot of people talking about it, saying, well, whatever, he's a crook, he should pay for his punishment, and so on. But again, I'm not here to advocate on his behalf or against him. What I am trying to say, basically, is what no one is talking about. What does Torah say? Now, a lot of people are using Torah to accuse him, which is fine. Torah is full of laws. It's not just instruction, it is also laws and commands. And Mr. Staley has all but said the exact same thing. Now, he came out with a video, it's probably been a couple of months now, stating basically that he's going to go ahead and plead guilty, just get all of this behind him. I don't think he himself believes that he tried to thieve, even though he confessed that in court, and I'm just repeating what he said. He wants all of this behind him, rightly so. It's a burden on him and his family and his ministry, so I'd probably do the same thing just to get it over with, because obviously he's not winning the day in court, and he may be guilty. I don't know. I wasn't there. Neither are you. So here's what I actually am going to say. Now, when he was in court, he said the Torah, and he said this in public, in American court, he stated that the Torah demands that he makes restitution, and that is exactly what he intends to do. He wants to obey Torah. That's what he's going to do, because they have tried and found him guilty of theft and of sorts. So that's what he's going to do, is he's going to make restitution and just do what the court rules. So it's been 7 years since 2009. He has been given 7 years in prison. I guess starting now. I'm not 100% clear on that. Now, the circumstance, there's a lot of communication and conversations, discussions going on all over the internet. And one of the questions that I found was, one of the people was asking about, whether this applies, him being a brother, following Torah, being one who teaches Torah, for one. Of course, he adheres to Torah. So does, what was the correlation between Torah, the Hebrew, mixed with having to make restitution to those who are considered goyim, those who are outside of covenant, those who are foreign born, and so on. And it's just a straight up question. They didn't mean anything by it, but I decided, let me take a look in Torah and see what it has to say about something like that. My studies took me to Devarim, or Devarim, yeah, Devarim, what we call Deuteronomy chapter 15. Which talks about the Shemitah year. Now, if you're not familiar with the Shemitah year is the end, is the 7th year of a cycle of 7 years. It's basically a Sabbath year. On that year, and the Shemitah in Hebrew means releasing. It is the year that people are to be released from their debts. And is still kind of debated today, but basically on the Jewish calendar, it is Elul 29, which brings it all into completion. That's the day that all debts are supposed to be, according to Scripture, released. And everyone gets a clean slate. They're allowed to move on. In this case, Staley was convicted in the 6th month of the Shemitah year. The 7th month is when it's all done. All debts are supposed to be released, according to Torah. What nobody is talking about is the fact that he has been given, this happened 7 years ago, so this is the 7th year of this whole circumstance. Just 1 month before the Shemitah year's completion here, the releasing of debts is supposed to happen next month, or at the end of this month, in the 7th month. He has been given 7 years in prison. So here's the thing. A lot of people in the Messianic roots, the Hebrew roots, whatever you want to call it, are basically, a lot of them are, saying, well, he got what he deserved. Give him 7 years. Make him pay. And rightly so. He is absolutely supposed to make restitution according to Torah. But also, according to Torah, he should be also released from this debt that he owes in 1 month, 1 month's time, because this is the Shemitah year. He is a Torah believer. Now, this 7-year sentence, as well as the restitution that is to be made, that was a sentence carried out by an American judge in American judicial court system. I'm going to be careful with saying this, but at the same time not, because people need to hear this. And I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for this, which is fine, but hate me all you want. I'm going to say it anyways because I know I'm right, because I am repeating Torah, and the Torah is not wrong. Though I am patriotic about my American heritage, and I am a proud American, before that, I am a Hebrew. Scripture states that I am in this world, but I am not of it. Now, I will respect American laws, so as long as it does not cause me to go against my Creator's instructions and laws. The day that American laws cause me to go against the Scriptures is the day that I have to choose between being an American and being a child of Yah. And this being the case, whether he is guilty or is not guilty, he is, Mr. Staley, going to make restitution. But nobody is advocating for the fact that according to Torah, according to what he believes as well, he is actually supposed to be also released from this debt this year. And I'm willing to bet that that is not going to happen. Now, given, and many of you may also be aware of Mr. Jonathan Cahn, who wrote such books as The Harbinger and the Mystery of the Shemitah, who brought a lot of this to the forefront of many Americans' minds as well as the rest of the world. In the year 2001, basically, September 11th, the whole terrorist attack happened. That was a Shemitah year. The stock market crashed on the completion of the Shemitah year. 7 years later, 2008, the Shemitah year happened again. Stock market crashed by 777 points. Jonathan Cahn is warning America also that this year, 2015, the Shemitah year, again, 7 years after all of this has happened, it's the 7th year again. Here we go. He is saying that America is in for a great shaking. Whether it's going to happen or not, I don't know. The Almighty is notorious for delaying, oftentimes, to basically not judge, but test his people. And through many people's trials, judgments, and tribulations, throughout Scripture, we learn the lessons from that. Israel did not adhere to the Sabbath years. They were cast out of their land and dispersed, and they were sent into Babylon. Now, yes, we are currently strangers in this land. But my question to you is, though they are obeying what is written here in Shemot, Exodus, chapter 22, basically, he is to make restitution, whether he stole it or he was held responsible for their finances. He said it himself. Torah demands, I make restitution. He said that in court. He's doing it. Good on him. He is not only obeying Torah, but he is living Torah. Are we also going to give him his day that is promised him in Scripture? Or are you, who call yourself Messianics or Hebrew Roots movements, community, whatever you want to call yourself, are you going to continue to be bitter towards him? Or I just basically have to say, it saddens me what I see on the internet, all over the place, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, many news articles about this circumstance. Again, it's not about Mr. Staley, it's about us right now as a family. I see a lot of discord where there's supposed to be unity. In fact, Yeshua made that prayer just before ascending into heaven. He said that he prays that we are all one as he and the Father are one, that we be one with each other as well as one with him. He is the Word. I'm not seeing you live the Word. Whether he did it or not, I forgive Mr. Staley. The judge, the courts have ruled. So, okay, he's making restitution. The Shemitah year is coming up. I can almost guarantee you the American court system is not going to release him from this debt. Now, my question is, how many of you said, no, he shouldn't be released from this debt? You just disagreed with God. And that is my concern, because when people ask me what my faith is, I tell them. I listen to the Tanakh, the Old Testament Scripture, as well as the New Testament, very Chadashah. I believe in Yeshua, I believe in Torah. And I try to live it as best as I can. We all fall short. We do. Okay? And I'm not telling you that, we're all perfect. I'm not saying that I'm perfect. Okay? I make many mistakes myself. But more people are advocating for the American judicial court system than they are for the Torah and the written word of the inspired writings of Yehovah. And more people are angry and more people are bitter than they are humble and forgiving. The Torah, as Yeshua himself stated, as well as the Torah itself states, the entirety of Torah and the prophets hang on the command to love Yehovah with everything that is within you, as well as loving your neighbor as you love yourself. Brothers and sisters, we are coming up on very uncertain times. And I'm telling you right now that we really need to examine ourselves about how we act towards the political and our own patriotism within the nations that we were born into, and start to weigh and measure what's more important to you, Yehovah's heart or the will of the people. That's my concern, and I believe through this it is also Yehovah's warning to us. We had better start living his heart, his word. because I'm looking around, I'm not seeing a lot of Yeshuas, okay? I'm seeing a lot of something else. So if you want to leave a comment, please feel free to do so. If you want to visit my website, michaeldsofer, SOFER.com. I'm also on Facebook, Hebraic Perspectives, and you can, let me know what you think. But it's irrelevant, really, because it's really about what you believe Scripture says. And it's because of what Scripture says that I made this video. And the reason I say it's irrelevant, it doesn't mean I'm not going to listen to what you have to say. I'm just saying that I really think it's more important that we, just sit back and ask Father and say, okay, your will be done. Not my will be done, but your will be done. And that's all I have to say. And I think that's the point that a lot of people are missing with all this. So shalom to you, and I pray that you will act out of love and see, and just stop, be still, and let's start trying to listen to what the Ruach is trying to speak to us, rather than feeding off of our own emotions. All right. Shalom. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this. And if you're going to unsubscribe now, bye. Shalom.